I had served the Apex Confederation for 17 cycles. 17 cycles of watching generals bark orders, watching soldiers follow those orders, without question, watching the machinery of war grind forward with the inevitability of a dying star collapsing. And in all those cycles, across all those battlefields, on all those blood-soaked worlds, I had never, not once, seen General Krath-Vol admit defeat, until today. No one can save him, the general said, his 4 eyes fixed on the medical pod before us. His voice carried that peculiar mix of resignation and fury that only comes when reality refuses to bend to your will. We have done everything. Everything. Inside the transparent capsule, Lieutenant Torvax lay dying, the best warrior of his generation. The soldier who had single-handedly held the Gorvan Pass for 3 hours while our forces regrouped. The male who had saved, by conservative estimates, approximately 4,000 lives through sheer stubborn refusal to fall. And now, he was falling. The quantum shrapnel had done its work with surgical precision. The fragments existed in multiple dimensional states simultaneously, tearing through flesh and bone and nerve in ways our medical technology simply could not address. Remove one piece, and 2 more would phase into existence. Stabilize one wound, and 3 more would open. It was elegant, really, if you appreciated that sort of horror. Our chief medical officer, Awakens, had been working for 6 hours straight. His manipulator tentacles trembled with exhaustion. "General," he said, his voice hollow, "the human outpost is only 4 hours away by fast transport." The general's scales rippled, a gesture of contempt. "Humans? You want me to trust humans with my best officer? Sir, with respect, your best officer will be dead in 3 hours. I watched this exchange with the detached interest of someone who had seen too much death to be properly moved by it anymore. The humans had arrived in our sector 8 months ago, establishing what they called a medical research station on the edge of our space. We had tolerated them because the treaty required it. We had ignored them because, well, they were humans. Humans? Soft. Small. Their planet barely registered as habitable on the galactic scale. Gravity so light a strong wind could probably snap their bones. Atmosphere so rich in oxygen it was practically flammable, and they had the audacity to call themselves survivors. "Please, contact them," General Krath-Vol said, finally, each word seeming to cost him something vital. The response came within minutes. A female voice, crisp and professional, with that peculiar human accent that always made our translators work overtime. "This is Dr. Elizabeth Okonkwo at Research Station Mercy. We received your transmission, quantum shrapnel, correct?" "Correct," Dr. Keen replied, surprise evident in his voice harmonics. "You are familiar with this weapon?" A pause. Then, and I swear I heard amusement in her tone. "Familiar? Honey, we invented countermeasures for quantum fragmentation weapons about 80 years ago. Nasty things. Used to see them in the Manila insurgency. How fast can you get him here?" The room went silent. Humans had dealt with quantum weapons? During what they would consider ancient history? General Krath-Vol's eyes narrowed to slits. "You can treat this, General," the human said, and now I definitely heard laughter bubbling under her words. "With respect, I can have him stable and regenerating within 6 hours of arrival. Whether he keeps all his original parts is another question, but he'll live. Now are you going to stand there looking shocked? Or are you going to load your soldier onto a transport?" I had never, in 17 cycles of service, seen a general move so fast. The transport screamed through space at speeds that made our inertial dampeners whine in protest. I went along because someone had to document this, and because, truthfully, I wanted to see what these humans were actually capable of. Torvax's vital signs continued their steady decline. Dronoke administered what medications he could, but we all knew he was just buying time, not solving the problem. The human station appeared on our view screen, and I had to suppress a laugh. It looked like something assembled from spare parts and optimistic thinking. Modular sections connected by flexible corridors, solar panels at angles that seemed almost random, and what appeared to be, I am not joking, an actual garden visible through one transparent section. That is a military medical facility, General Krath-Vol muttered. That is a human medical facility, I corrected. They never claimed military anything. We docked, the airlock cycled, and Dr. Elizabeth Okonkwo was waiting. She was, by human standards, probably average. By our standards, she looked like a stiff breeze could knock her over. Her skin was dark, her hair was cropped short and going grey at the temples, and her eyes were the colour of Earth's oceans in the videos I had seen. She wore what appeared to be casual medical attire, light blue fabric that seemed entirely too relaxed for someone about to attempt the impossible. But it was her hands that caught my attention. Steady. Completely, utterly steady. No tremor, no hesitation. The hands of someone who had done terrible, wonderful things and lost no sleep over them. General Krath-Vol, she said, inclining her head in what our database indicated was a gesture of respect. Dr. Drill Khan. And you are? Observer Kintil, I replied. I document fleet operations. Excellent. You can document this. She smiled, showing flat white teeth. Where's my patient? We rushed Torvax's pod through corridors that smelled, bizarrely, of growing things and disinfectant. The medical bay was small by our standards, almost cramped, but it practically vibrated with equipment I did not recognize. 3 other humans were already there, moving with practiced efficiency. One was male, tall and broad, with skin the color of pale sand. Another was female, shorter, her features suggesting East Asian ancestry. The third was indeterminate gender, with what appeared to be cybernetic enhancements along their left arm and skull. All right, people, we have approximately 2 hours before cascade failure, Dr. Okonkwo said, her voice sharp now. All business. Jane, prep the quantum isolation field. Marcus, I need a full neural map before we start extraction. 7. Get that dimensional stabilizer, calibrated to, let me guess, 7.3 quantum variance. 7.4, Drolkeen said weakly. 7.4 it is. She rolled up her sleeves. A gesture I would later learn was unconscious preparation for difficult work. General, Doctor, Observer, you are welcome to watch from the observation room. This is going to take a while, and it is going to look disturbing. I promise you, it is all part of the process. I am staying, General Krath-Vol said flatly. Dr. Okonkwo shrugged. Your call. Try not to faint. We really do not have time to catch you. What happened next? I do not have adequate words to describe. They opened the pod. Torvax's vital signs immediately plummeted. Alarms screamed, and Dr. Okonkwo just smiled. There we go, she said softly. Come on out, you interdimensional little nightmares. Let us see what you have got. Her hands moved over the wound with a speed that seemed physically impossible. The other humans moved in perfect synchronization, passing instruments I could not name, adjusting equipment that hummed with frequencies that made my inner ears ache. The quantum shrapnel phased in and out of visibility, glittering with malevolent beauty. Isolation field at 60%, Zhang called out. Not enough. We go at 80 or we do not go at all, Dr. Okonkwo replied. Her hands never stopped moving. Marcus, what am I looking at on the neural pathway? Fragmentation along the secondary cortex looks like 5 separate breach points. Manageable. 7. Start the regeneration catalyst, but keep it at baseline. We stabilize, then we repair. No heroics. Understood, Doctor. I watched as she worked, and slowly, something began to dawn on me. This was not desperation. This was not frantic last-minute improvisation. This was routine. Difficult routine. Yes. Dangerous routine. Certainly. But routine nonetheless. These humans had done this before. Many times before. General Krath-Vol stood beside me, his breathing shallow. How? He whispered. Isolation field at 80%, Zhang announced. Perfect. Locking dimensional variance. Dr. Okonkwo's hands plunged directly into the wound, and I saw the quantum shrapnel beginning to stabilize, beginning to exist in only one dimension at a time. Starting extraction in 3, 2, 1, now. The first fragment came out, and Torvax convulsed, despite the sedation. Hold him steady, Dr. Okonkwo said calmly. That is one. Only about 40 more to go. This is going to be fun. And she laughed. She actually laughed. 2 hours became 3. 3 became 4. Sweat beaded on the humans' foreheads, but their hands never wavered. Piece by piece, fragment by fragment, they pulled death out of Torvax and replaced it with stabilized tissue, with regeneration matrices, with what Marcus called good old-fashioned stem cell therapy. Final fragment, Dr. Okonkwo said, her voice hoarse now. Jang, field holding. Marcus, neural pathways re-establishing. We are looking at, rough estimate, 85% original functionality, possibly better once the regeneration completes. 7. All catalysts responding normally. He is going to be hungry when he wakes up. Aren't we all? Dr. Okonkwo extracted the last fragment with a motion so smooth it looked like magic. She held it up to the light, examining it with professional interest. Nasty little thing. General, you can have this for your trophy case if you want. I certainly do not need it. She placed it in a containment field, then stepped back from the table. Her hands, I noticed, were finally trembling. Just a little, just enough to be human. He is stable, she announced. He will be unconscious for approximately 8 more hours. When he wakes up, he is going to hurt like hell. He is going to be confused, and he is going to need physical therapy for at least 2 weeks. And this is the important part, he is going to live. General Krath-Vol stood frozen. Khan had sunk into a chair at some point, his tentacles hanging limply. I found that I had been holding my breath without realizing it. How? The general said again. How could you? We are the Apex Confederation. We have the most advanced medical technology in 12 sectors. How do humans know how to treat something we could not? Dr. Elizabeth Okonkwo pulled off her surgical gloves, disposed of them in a receptacle, and fixed the general with a look that was part exhaustion, part pity, part something else entirely. General, she said quietly, you are the Apex Confederation. You are mighty. You are powerful. You have technology that can crack planets and weapons that can end stars. She paused, letting that sink in. But you have never, not once, had to fight for every single breath on a world that actively tries to kill you from the moment you are born. You have never had to innovate or die. You have never had to look at the impossible and say, well, I guess we are doing this now. She smiled, tired and fierce and unbelievably proud. We are humans, General. We do not have the luxury of admitting that something cannot be done, because on Earth, if you admit defeat, you do not get a second chance. The planet eats you. So we learned, a long time ago, that when someone says no one can save him, she glanced back at Torvax's stable readings. We roll up our sleeves and get to work. Lieutenant Torvax woke up screaming. Well, not screaming exactly. More like that low, guttural sound that comes from deep in the chest when pain bypasses all rational thought and goes straight to the primitive parts of the brain that remember what it means to be prey. His eyes flew open, all 4 of them dilating in different directions as his body tried to process where he was, what had happened, and why everything hurt. Easy. Dr. Okonkwo was there instantly. Her small hands surprisingly strong as she pressed him back against the medical bed. Lieutenant Torvax, you are safe. You are at Research Station Mercy. You were injured. You have been in surgery. You need to stay still. Torvax's head whipped toward her, and I saw the exact moment his combat training kicked in. His body went rigid, calculating threats, assessing escape routes, preparing for violence. Then his eyes focused on her face, on her completely calm expression, and something in him just stopped. Human? He rasped, his voice box clearly damaged but functional. That is right, human doctor. You can relax now. The hard part is over. She smiled at him, that same tired, fierce smile I had seen before. Well, the hard part for me is over. Your hard part is just beginning. How do you feel about physical therapy? Where is General Krath-Vol? Right here. The general stepped forward, and I saw something I had never witnessed in 17 cycles. His scales were rippling in a pattern that our people used to show profound respect, almost reverence. "You are alive, Lieutenant. Against all probability, against all logic, you are alive." Torvax tried to sit up, failed, tried again. Dr. Okonkwo did not stop him this time, just adjusted the bed angle to help him. "The mission, sir. The weapon is contained. The mission is complete, and you magnificent fool, are going to recover fully." The general's voice cracked slightly. "Thanks to Dr. Okonkwo and her team." Torvax's eyes found the doctor again, studying her with new intensity. "You removed quantum shrapnel. That should be impossible." "Should be? Yes," she agreed cheerfully. "But see, we have this really annoying habit of not caring much about what should be impossible. Comes from living on a Deathworld, I suppose. Makes you stubborn." "Deathworld?" Torvax's confusion was evident. I stepped forward then, because someone needed to document this properly, and because I had spent the last 8 hours researching human history on our database while Torvax recovered. What I had found it had changed some things for me. "Lieutenant," I said, "Earth is classified as a Class 12 Deathworld. That is the highest danger rating in our system. Their gravity would crush most species. Their atmosphere is so reactive that exposed metals rust within days. Their weather systems are chaotic enough to generate storms that could level cities. Their planet is tectonically active, meaning the ground itself moves and splits without warning. They have predators that hunt in packs with sophisticated tactics. They have diseases that evolve faster than most species can develop immunity. And somehow, impossibly, humans not only survived there, they thrive." Torvax stared at me, then at Dr. Okonkwo, then back at me. "You are joking." "I wish I was," I replied. "It gets worse. They did not just survive their planet. They conquered it. Then they looked at the diseases that should have killed them and turned them into vaccines. They looked at the predators that hunted them and domesticated some of them as pets. They looked at their chaotic weather and built structures that could withstand it. They took every single thing that should have destroyed them and turned it into a tool for survival." Dr. Okonkwo laughed, that bright, sudden sound that seemed so at odds with everything she had just accomplished. "Oh, you found our Wikipedia page, did you?" "I found 17,000 pages of human medical research," I corrected, "including papers on quantum fragmentation wounds dating back to what you call the 21st century. You have been treating this for over 200 years? "More or less. We got creative during the Manila insurgency, like I mentioned. Some idiot thought quantum weapons would be a good idea for urban warfare." Her expression darkened slightly. "They were wrong. Very wrong. But we learned. We always learn." Marcus approached with a data tablet, glancing at Torvax's readings. "Neural pathways are re-establishing faster than projected. Doc. He might be up and moving in a week instead of 2. "Excellent. Lieutenant, how is your pain level? Scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is the worst pain you have ever experienced." Torvax considered this. 7? Perhaps 8? "Perfect. That means the nerve regeneration is working correctly. You should be feeling pain. If you were not, I would be worried." She made some adjustments on a nearby console. "I am going to give you something to take the edge off, but not eliminate it entirely. Pain is information. Your body is telling you what needs more time to heal." "You want me to feel pain?" Torvax sounded incredulous. "I want you to respect what your body is telling you. Yes, pain is not your enemy, Lieutenant. Pain kept your ancestors alive long enough to become your ancestors. Listen to it." She administered something through his IV line. "There, that should help." General Krath-Vol had been silent through this exchange, but now he spoke, his voice carrying a weight I recognized. The weight of someone reassessing everything they thought they knew. "Dr. Okonkwo, your station is small. Your equipment is, no offense, outdated by our standards. Your species is, physically, far weaker than mine. And yet you accomplished in hours what our best medical minds could not accomplish at all. I need to understand how this is possible." Dr. Okonkwo pulled up a chair, sitting down with a sigh that suggested her body was finally acknowledging the last several hours of intensive work. General, can I be honest with you? Please. Your medical technology is incredible, truly. The cellular regeneration matrices you use are works of art. The diagnostic equipment is so sensitive it borders on precognitive. Your pharmaceutical databases are extraordinary. You have advantages we could only dream of. She leaned forward, her ocean-colored eyes intense. But you have one critical weakness, which is, you have never had to improvise. Your technology works, so you trust it absolutely. When it fails, you assume the problem is unsolvable because your perfect technology could not solve it. She smiled, but there was no humor in it now. Humans? Our technology fails constantly. We grew up with equipment that broke down, with supplies that ran out, with solutions that only worked sometimes. So we learn to think around problems. We learn to combine things that should not be combined. We learned that sometimes the answer is not more advanced technology, but more creative thinking. You are saying we rely too much on our tools, the general said slowly. I am saying that when your tools fail, you stop. When our tools fail, we improvise. She gestured to the medical bay around us. This equipment, half of it is modified. We took your cellular regeneration matrix and combined it with our quantum isolation field technology. We took your neural mapping system and integrated it with our dimensional stabilization algorithms. We did not invent new technology, General. We just used what was available in new ways. What? I asked, genuinely curious. Humans doing stupid things and surviving them. We have an entire medical specialty called trauma surgery that exists because people keep falling off things, crashing things, breaking things, and then expecting us to put them back together. She grinned. Your lieutenant had quantum shrapnel in 7 major organs. Last month I had a patient who had been attacked by what we call a grizzly bear, which is basically a 400-kilogram predator with claws and teeth and a bad attitude. Before that we had someone who crashed a high-speed aircraft and walked away with only a concussion. Humans break, General. We break constantly, and we have gotten very, very good at fixing broken humans. 7. The cybernetically enhanced human added their perspective without looking up from their equipment calibration. There is also the cultural factor. On Earth, giving up on a patient is considered, well, not acceptable. We have a saying, where there is life, there is hope. It is almost religious for some of us. We do not stop trying until we absolutely have no other choice. Torvax was listening to all of this with an expression I could not quite read. You are saying that human medicine is superior because humans are fragile. No, Dr. Okonkwo corrected gently. I am saying that human medicine is adaptive because humans are survivors. We are not stronger than you, Lieutenant. We are not tougher than you. We are not more resistant to injury than you, but we are more stubborn than you. We are more creative than you, and we absolutely refuse to accept that death gets the final say. She stood up, checking his vital signs one more time. You should have died on that battlefield. You should have died in transit. You should have died on my operating table, but you did not. You know why? Why? Because I did not let you. Simple words. Said with absolute conviction. Death does not get to win on my watch, Lieutenant. Not if I have anything to say about it. The room fell silent. Marcus and Zhang had stopped their work. 7 had paused in their calibrations. Even General Krath-Vol seemed unable to find words. It was Torvax who finally broke the silence. I owe you my life. Despite everything, despite the pain he must have been feeling, Torvax laughed. It came out as more of a wheeze, but it was definitely a laugh. I think I understand now, General Krath-Vol said quietly. Why humans are the way they are. Why you seem so recklessly optimistic, Marcus suggested. Dangerously stubborn, Zhang offered. Clinically insane, 7 added helpfully. All of those things, the general agreed. You come from a world that should have killed you. You survived anyway. And now you take that survival instinct and apply it to everything you do. Pretty much, Dr. Okonkwo agreed. Earth made us tough. Space made us careful. but neither one made us quit. And that, General, is why when you said no one could save your lieutenant, I rolled up my sleeves and got to work. On the final day, as we prepared to transport Torvax back to the fleet, General Krath-Vol stood in the docking bay with Dr. Okonkwo. I recorded their conversation because I knew somehow that it was important. "Doctor," the general said, "I came here expecting to watch my best officer die. Instead, I watched a miracle." "Not a miracle," she corrected. "Just medicine. Very good medicine, I will admit, but not miraculous." Dr. Okonkwo's expression softened. "General, you are Apex in many ways. Your technology is incredible. Your organization is efficient. Your people are strong and capable. But being the best at everything is not possible. And more importantly, it is not the goal. The goal is to survive, to help each other survive, to share what we know so that everyone has a better chance. You would share your medical knowledge with us? Even though we dismissed you. Of course, that is what doctors do. We heal. We teach. We share." She extended her hand in that human gesture of connection. "Besides, I have a feeling we are going to need each other in the future. The galaxy is a big place, General. Lots of ways to get hurt out here. Good to know someone has your back." The general stared at her hand for a moment, then carefully grasped it with one of his primary manipulators. "Thank you, Dr. Elizabeth Okonkwo. You have given me back my best officer. But more than that, you have taught me that strength comes in many forms. Any time, General. Any time." As our transport pulled away from Research Station Mercy, I looked back at the small, fragile-looking station with its mismatched modules and its impossible garden, and its crew of 4 humans who had accomplished the impossible with nothing but skill, stubbornness, and an absolute refusal to accept defeat. I thought about everything I had learned, about Deathworlds and survival instincts, about improvisation and adaptation, about what it meant to come from a place so hostile that simply living there was an act of defiance. And I thought about Dr. Okonkwo's words. When someone says no one can save him, we roll up our sleeves and get to work. Lieutenant Torvax sat across from me, already moving better than anyone had predicted, his body responding to treatment with that enhanced healing that came from genetic lines, tempered by millennia of warfare. But it was not his healing that impressed me. It was his thoughtfulness. "Observer Quintin," he said quietly, "I have fought in 63 engagements. I have faced enemies that would give seasoned warriors nightmares. I have stared at death more times than I can count." He paused. "But I have never been as frightened as I was watching that small human woman work on me. Because she was not afraid. Not even a little. She looked at something that should have killed me, and she just fixed it. Like it was routine." "Perhaps for her it was routine," I suggested. "That is what frightens me. What kind of species develops routines for the impossible?" I smiled, pulling up the files I had compiled. 17 cycles of documentation, and this would be my most important report. The kind that comes from Earth, Lieutenant. The kind that refuses to quit. The kind that looks at the Apex Confederation and says, "With all respect, we can help." General Krath-Vol, listening to our conversation, made a sound that might have been laughter. "I think the Confederation needs to revise its assessment of humanity. We called them insignificant. We called them weak. We were wrong." "With respect, sir," I said, "we were not entirely wrong. They are weak physically. Their technology is outdated. Their station looks like it was assembled by optimistic amateurs." I pulled up the image of Dr. Okonkwo, hands steady, eyes fierce, standing over an operating table where death had been invited and then firmly shown the exit. "But they have something we do not. Something we may have forgotten we needed." "What is that?" "They remember what it means to survive against impossible odds, and they never ever forget that when someone needs help, you roll up your sleeves and get to work." The general looked at that image for a long moment. Then he began composing a message that would change everything. A message to the Confederation Council. A recommendation that Research Station Mercy be granted full medical authority in our sector. A proposal for knowledge exchange. An admission that maybe, just maybe, the Apex Confederation could learn something from the small, stubborn survivors of a Class 12 Deathworld. And as I watched him work, I thought about Dr. Elizabeth Okonkwo and her team. About Marcus with his easy humor and steady hands. About Jing with her quick wit and quicker reflexes. About Seven with their cybernetic enhancements and unshakable calm. About 4 humans on a rickety station at the edge of nowhere, saving lives because that is what humans do. The Apex General had said no one could save him. The human doctor had rolled up her sleeves, looked death in the eye and said, "Watch me." And in that moment everything changed. Because we learned that being Apex is not about being the strongest or the most advanced or the most powerful. It is about knowing when to accept help. It is about recognizing strength in unexpected places. It is about understanding that survival is not a competition. It is a collaboration. And sometimes, just sometimes, the smallest voice in the room is the one saying the most important thing. We roll up our sleeves and get to work.